Good evening, you're watching the news on Croatian television. The IMF has forecast that the Croatian economy will grow by 2.9% this year and 2.7% in 2018. The organization says tourism, exports and consumer spending will drive the growth. The key concerns for Croatia are youth unemployment and a high public debt. The IMF also feels that the Agrokor crisis will not have a major impact on the overall economy.
So the growth projections that you've just mentioned earlier do incorporate the impact of Agrokor. So the impact thus far has been limited. Of course, there are downside risks to growth because of this crisis. Thus far, they have been limited. And to ensure that they continue to be limited and minimized, it is important to ensure a smooth resolution process. So the resolution process needs to be as rapid as possible, and also that progress in the resolution is being communicated, continues to be communicated openly. I would also like to point out that one of the reasons the impact was limited was the prudent limits to exposure that the National Bank of Croatia has maintained. So it constrained the exposure of the banking sector to basically one large lender. And that is very important. It's very important to continue to have such prudent policies in order to minimize the impact of such crises or any other crises.
While attending celebrations marking the 22nd anniversary of the incorporation of the city of Zaprešić, Parliament Speaker Gordan Jandroković commented on government's handling of the Agrokor crisis.
The process is underway. I'm confident in its conclusion. If we didn't believe that, we most likely wouldn't participate in the process. So regardless of the numerous challenges, numerous people involved, of which many did not want to see the process completed successfully, I remain positive and believe that in the end everything will turn out all right.
SDP leader Davor Bernardić also commented on Agrokor today, saying that Parliament's investigative commission into the concern's demise was independent and would therefore decide on its own who will be called to testify.
Todorić is the most responsible for this situation, but he is definitely not the only one, and it will follow this order, Todorić, Plenković, and I continue to call on Plenković to reveal who wrote Lex Agrokor, what his relationship with them is, and who lied, his crisis manager Ante Ramljak or his finance minister Zdravko Marić.
In response to a public debate on the Istanbul Convention, the Croatian Bishops' Conference has issued a statement saying that while it supports legislation that will protect women and the family, it does not support the convention, which the bishops feel imposes a gender ideology. Health Minister Milan Kujundžić today commented on a petition submitted to Parliament yesterday by two pro-life groups calling for amendments to the so-called abortion law so as to protect the rights of unborn children. More than 168,000 signatures were submitted in support of the amendments.
I think that every individual must be respected, to say nothing of the signatures of 168,000 people. Croatia is truly a democratic country, and we need to show understanding and respect for one another. All of us must strive to protect life. As for how the law will be written, let's leave that to the people involved.
Speaking to tens of thousands of faithful from Bosnia and Herzegovina on a pilgrimage to Marija Bistrica today, Cardinal Vinko Puljic criticized contemporary democracy. He accused the media of being bought and paid for and of openly lying, and politicians of adopting legislation that usurps ownership. He also said that children are being raised to forget their past and avoid responsibility, while the faithful are labeled as fascists for their Catholic principles.
A person from international public life, and I will not mention his name nor nationality on purpose, is coming to Bosnia and Herzegovina, and his main concern is when there will be a gay pride parade and when a law on same-sex marriages will be adopted. My God, man, what have you done to ensure that these people have work, that they can live from their work? This is not the first point of concern.
The fifth protest against agreements signed between the Holy See and Croatia was held on St. Mark's Square today. Protesters reminded that according to the Constitution, Croatia is a secular state and that the church must not be above the law. Prime Minister Andrej Plenković has previously rejected the possibility of repealing the agreement with the Vatican.
We are calling for the repeal of the treaties between the Holy See and Croatia because we feel they are detrimental. We believe that they contravene the principle of equality before the law, the principle of a secular state, especially the principle of religious freedom, given that it abolishes the rights of religious people and members of religious minorities.
A wreath-laying and candle-lighting ceremony was held in the village of Sotin near Vukovar this morning to mark the 26th anniversary of the killing of 86 Croatians by Serbian paramilitary forces during the Homeland War. Another 18 Croatian villagers are still listed as missing. 26 years on, many are still searching for the remains of their loved ones.
We all know who is blocking this and where this is being blocked, and no one reacted in the slightest. These are, simply put, unacceptable things. Perhaps it is time to raise our voices again and take to the streets, because to allow some lawyers and judges to delay cases, regardless of who is giving them their orders, is absolutely unacceptable.
A number of statues honoring historic Croatian figures throughout the capital are being adorned with red cravats to mark the beginning of the Week of the Cravat and International Necktie Day on October 18th. The necktie is Croatia's most recognizable contribution to the world of fashion.
The cravat, or scarf around the neck, was worn by Croatian soldiers during the 30 Years' War, and it was recognized in France. After King Louis XIV, a fashion-conscious ruler, began wearing one around his neck, it began its transformation into the modern necktie.
Croatian Radio Television's annual fundraising effort With Us You're Not Alone was held this evening. This year's drive will support an initiative to build a dormitory for underprivileged students and young people without parental care. Among those taking calls in the telethon were Prime Minister Andrej Plenković, members of his cabinet, and local celebrities. Taking a quick look at sports, Marin Cilic fell short of the final in the Shanghai Masters after losing to world number 1 Rafael Nadal of Spain 7-5, 7-6 today. Despite the loss, Cilic will achieve a career-high 4th place on the ATP rankings to be released on Monday. And now the forecast for tomorrow. Predominantly sunny skies throughout the country, with morning fog in the interior, which could linger on into midday. Winds will be mild inland, with a mild to moderate northwesterly on the coast. Morning lows of 3 to 8 degrees Celsius in the interior, 12 to 17 on the Adriatic, will give way to highs of 19 to 24 degrees, up to 26 on the coast. The 3-day forecast for the interior calls for morning fog in valleys. Highs will be between 20 to 23 degrees. The coast will see sunny and stable weather with mild winds and pleasantly warm temperatures. And that wraps up the news. Be sure to join us again tomorrow night.